All right. Hey, good morning to you. It's Thursday. Man, new weeks are flying by. This is the last 2 days of work days, really, of 2023. So, man, it's almost in the books. Hope you had a good one, really. And I hope you learned. I hope you became more humble, more others oriented. All the things that Christ desires in us, that we would be people who are completely humble, that we would be people who are completely gentle, that we would be patient, that is, unmoved by our circumstances, that we'd be forbearing, that is, that we would not be moved by people, but that we would just be about his business. So those are the things that please the Father, and these are the things of his heart, and so that's what we want. And so, man, this is going to be a new year. Who knows what will take place? Our world is getting crazier by the day. And so we're going to trust him and see what takes place. And hope you had a great night. We, bunch of us, 14 of us, actually, Brent's side of the family, and then me and the Tamster jumped into Konomi's, which is a Japanese steakhouse. It was Cole, our 17-year-old, it was his our oldest grandson. It was his birthday. And so we celebrated yesterday, and so that's what we did. It was great fun, and man, ate way too much. So here we are. Let's jump into some truth. We are in Luke 15. We're going to finish this one up and flip the page to chapter 16 and continue moving on in this really powerful book. And so we're talking about what is traditionally known as the prodigal son, right? I mean, that's it. Prodigal means waste. That's kind of the general idea of what that word prodigal means. It means that it's a wasteful life. And so we're gonna see that this is the pinnacle of everything that Jesus wanted them to understand. There's three people, really, players in this story. There is the father, there is the son, the prodigal, and then there is the older son. And so this parable follows two other ones. In verse 15, chapter 15, in the very beginning, it says, "Now all the tax collectors and sinners were coming near to Jesus to listen to him. And the Pharisees and the scribes began to complain, saying, 'This man receives sinners and eats with them.'" Now, Jesus is going to drive home what people think about sinners, what God thinks about sinners. And he's going to do it in the form of three stories that he's going to tell in gunshot fashion. And so this is what he did. The first one was about a shepherd, right? That no Pharisee really wanted to identify with a shepherd anyway, but that was the story of shepherd, 99, and then one who strayed. And that one who strayed was loved by the Father. The outcast sheep, the black sheep, if you will. God was interested. That shepherd wanted that one. Wouldn't quit until he found it. And so he's driving home a point that when sinners begin to desire to hang around God, it's a good thing. When they know who they are and they walk out the Beatitudes and they're beatituding in life, and that means that they have come to Christ, they have denied themselves, taken up their cross, and followed him, there's great joy in heaven. Just as there's great joy with the shepherd who finds that sheep, right? I tell you, verse 7, in the same way there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous people who need no repentance. That's the first slap, really, across the face of the Pharisees, because they had to have identified. He just made it plain to them that the wayward sheep is the one that God finds great delight in when that sinner comes home. So when they're complaining about Jesus hanging out with sinners, he's saying, oh, those are the ones that will create the party in heaven. Not you. Not you. And then he goes to the next one. The lost coin. Remember, we looked at that one. Same thing. Woman has money. She's missing a coin. Matters greatly to her. She starts doing everything she can. Gets the light out. Hangs it down low. Starts sweeping. Starts gathering in everything. Trying to find. Just out and about in the corners, and seeing what's going on. Taking that broom and underneath the cabinetry and whatever was going on there. Until she found that coin. And what does she say? What is the story? What does Jesus drive home? In the same way, I tell you, there is joy in the presence of angels of God over one sinner who repents. This is it. What creates joy in heaven? What creates a never-ending party every time a sinner comes home? Self-righteous people don't go home. Just make that clear. It is not the self-righteous. It is the sinner. It is the one who knows their poverty, right? This is what he loves. He loves it when someone comes to the place where they go, I give up. I'm not. I'm done pretending. I'm not what I ought to be. I know that. I need help. That's who God delights in. That's the repentant. That's not the one who just kind of, I am pretty clean. I just need to get God's little stamp of approval. That in no way creates joy in heaven. What creates joy in heaven is when someone knows that they're at their worst and they just cling in hope that God would do something for them. Now, let's move to the next story. This is what we're going to look at today. So, this one is the nail in the coffin. This one is, one of the most told stories in all of Scripture, and we all tend to try and make it about us and about where we find ourselves in the story, and I hope you do find yourself in the story. I hope you find yourself as the prodigal. I hope you don't find yourself as the good son, the older son, so to speak. And certainly you're not the father. That now we could be representative of him, but that's the father is God. The oldest son, Pharisee. The younger prodigal son, sinners. This is the story. Those are the three players that were in that very beginning opening verse. There was Jesus, who was teaching and loving and doing what a rabbi does. And there were sinners who were hanging out with him. And there were Pharisees who hated the fact that they were hanging out with Jesus. And so it's the same. You've got to see it that way. Now, so let's just get into the story. It's a crazy story. To them, it would be outlandish because this is unheard of. No one would treat their father like this, and no father would let their son treat them like this. This is outrageous in any culture, but specifically the culture of that Middle Eastern area. This is absurd. So let's just read it. A man had two sons. The younger of them said to his father, Father, give me my share of the estate, this that is coming to me. And so he divided the wealth between them. There was really no discussion. Listen, this is a father. This is a wealthy man. We know he's wealthy because at the end of it, when he has this party, he's got servants and he's got fattened calves and the famine didn't touch him. He is a wealthy and he's respected. He's honorable, right? He's got servants, man. I mean, this is a good man. And so here his son comes to him. Basically, when he says, I want my inheritance, you have to read that as saying, I want what is mine now. I don't want to wait till you die. I want you to die now so I can have my stuff, right? He just wants his father to be dead to him. He doesn't care about his father. Not if he did, he wouldn't have done what he did. He had no regard for the father. He simply wants his stuff. What's his stuff? 1/3. He wanted 1/3 of his father's wealth because the other son, the oldest, was going to get the 2/3. That's how it went, right? And so it was not a fair system. You got a will today, right? You normally divide it among your kids and it's all even. Not there. Oldest got it. And so here's a young man that's saying, hey, Dad, I want what's mine. And so he gave it to him. Now the man took it, apparently sold it half the rate, because really you didn't get it until the man died. You got it, and then you could sell it to someone and say, hey, listen, when my father dies, you can have this, right? And so they'll buy it based on that. They bought an inheritance. That's kind of what they were doing. They bought someone's inheritance. Just like you could buy someone's stocks and bonds, it's paper, or whatever, but doesn't come due you don't get it until it comes due. This is that. And so this is what's going on. So he what did he do when he got it? Well, he sold it, obviously, because you don't get to take land with you. You don't get to take servants with you. You don't get to take those. So he sold it. He sold it, and then what did he do? Well, he wasted it. Look at what he says. And not many days later, the younger son gathered everything together and went on a journey to a distant country. And there he squandered his estate in wild living. There it is. There it is. What is he doing with it? He's wasting it. Just wasted. And then he goes on, and it says, now, when he had spent everything, a famine came, occurred in the country, and he began doing without. There it is. Now, the Pharisees are reading this, going, "Man, there's justice right there. That's a shame. That person is disgusting. Who would have treated their father that way?" I mean, they can't see that they're treating God, their father, that way, but this is the story. So now he's got no resources, right? Wealth gone, family gone, honor gone. You got none of that. You are now down and out. This is a ridiculous story that this would even happen. I mean, this makes no sense. The Pharisees have to be going, this is stupid. Who would do this? But this is us. This is what rebellion looks like against God, right? We rebel against his fatherhood. I'm going to pretend there is no God. Or I'm going to feign honor him. I'm going to play the game to hedge my bets. But they really want no relationship with him. Only when they need him. This is rebellion. It was a sham. It was a rebellion against God's fatherhood. It was a rebellion against God's order of things. That you wait on the inheritance. You play your role in life, and then as you get there, that's what happens. God has order. They rebelled against the Father's authority, just as we rebel against God's authority. All we like sheep have gone astray. You understand that, right? This is who we are. We have each turned to our own way. We've done our own thing. We don't want his authority in our life. We want whatever help he may give, but we don't want it. We'll submit to what we want to. But if we don't like what he says, we will either convince ourselves that he didn't say it so that we can continue in sin, or we will just outright sin. Do it in secret. Do it in cover of night. But we have rejected his authority. We've rejected his will. He rejected the goodness of his father. He rejected the resources of his father. He wasted the resources of his father. Do you see what's happening here? This is how they're seeing the story. This man deserves punishment. This man should have been slapped. This son should have been flogged and put to his room and sit there until he realizes what he's done. That's kind of how it should have gone. This is the picture of a sinner. The ones the Pharisees hate. And so now they're going, yeah, that's exactly right, right? Now, here's where the story changes. He comes to his senses. He leans hard into his father's goodness. Look what happens in verse 14. When he had spent everything, a severe famine occurred in that country, and he began to do without. And so he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, and he sent him into his fields to feed the pigs. This story's getting crazier. This guy now he's a hired hand, and he's hanging out with pigs. Nobody does that. That's anathema. And he longed to have his fill of the carob pods that the pigs were eating. No one was giving him anything. He's sent out there. He's given him a job. I don't even know if he had a roof over his head. He was just as a hireling. So he's out. He's just nobody now. He's out there, and he's eating pig swine, right? He's just and they're like, I can't even get that fast. The pigs are faster than me. I can't even get that, and he's starving. It says, but verse 17. But when he came to his senses, this is when someone wakes up and realizes that they're not all they thought they were. This is when someone who thought they were going to be somebody who was all that they wanted to be is a fraud and a sham and a hypocrite, just like the Pharisees. But when he came to his senses, verse 17, he said, how many of my father's hired laborers have more than enough bread? I'm dying here from hunger. This is insane. My dad was right. I will set out and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven. I've sinned deeper than anybody can sin. I'm going to confess my sins. Listen, I did it. I have no excuse. I have wasted everything that you've given to me. I have nothing to show for it. I am nothing but a shame to you. I am a disgrace to you, I know, and I've got nothing. My sin reaches the heavens. Does that sound like someone who's like, woe is me? I'm a man undone, right? I'm a man of unclean lips like Isaiah. There's no righteousness in me at all. All my righteousness is as filthy rags. He just wants back in at the lowest state. So what's the father going to do? Well, the Pharisees had ideas. Well, no, he's going to make him grovel. He's going to make him earn it. He's going to put him out there in the lowest of lows. And then maybe at one point, he'll begin to talk to him. But that's not what happens. Look at what happens. He says, verse 18, I will go out to my father, and I will say to my father, Father, I've sinned in your sight. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hiredlings and laborers. So he set out and came to his father. But when he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion for him and ran and embraced him. The father saw him. The father was waiting for him. The father was looking for him. I'm sure the father, when he went to the city gates, would look beyond that thinking, somewhere my son will come home. I'm sure when he was in the tavern with the guys, he's thinking that somewhere my son is gonna return. He stood at his gate waiting. I mean, this is what it looks like, right? This is what it says. He saw him when he was a long way off. He knows him. Just like a shepherd knows his sheep, a dad knows his son. He can see the gait in his walk. He can see the tussle of the hair. He can see the movement. He can see it all. He knows. You can't hide. You can't hide. And so what does he do? He runs and embraces him. Now the whole world's going, there's his son. The dad's going to go beat him, but the dad doesn't do that. The dad runs up. He embraces him. He kisses him. And he looks at his servants and said, hey, throw a party. Look at what he says. And the son said to him, Father, I've sinned. But the father, I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his slaves. He doesn't say anything to the son. He looks at the slaves. Quickly, bring out the best robe. Put it on. Put a ring on his finger. Sandals on. What's he doing? Restoring everything that was lost. That robe is a sign of honor. It's a seal. It could have been the family coat of arms, so to speak. When you wore it, everybody knew who you were and knew what was going on. Rings on your finger. That means you're someone of worth and value, right? That you can wear your wealth, so to speak. Sandals, because nobody that was a hireling in that sense, or that was where he was, had sandals. But he's given shoes on his feet. And then he says, and bring the fattened calf, slaughter it, and let's eat and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and has come to life again. He was lost and he has been found, and they began to celebrate, right? He was given the dignity. He was given everything. And what was happening in that father's house was the same thing that happened to the shepherd in heaven when the shepherd got the one. It's the same thing that happened in the house with the woman who rejoiced because she found her coin. And all the angels are observing the joy in heaven. Don't miss this story. This is about the sinners, the Pharisees, God the Father. And so this is what's going on. Now, then, in the time we have left, verse 25. Now, his older son was in the field. And when he came and approached the house, he heard music and dancing, and he summoned one of his servants and began inquiring what these things could be. And he said to him, your brother has come, and your father has slaughtered the fattened calf, because he has received him back safe and sound. There was always a calf that was fattened, ready for slaughter, in case there was a party at any moment. And this dad had kept this for this one party. But he became angry. He didn't go, oh, awesome. Little bro's come home, just like the Pharisees. No, get these sinners away from Jesus. But he answered and said, but when he came, he became angry and was not willing to go in. And his father came out. So there's a party. He's like, I'm not going in. This is silly. No, I'm not going in there. He's a sinner. He's vile. He deserves nothing. He stole your inheritance. And no, it's not happening. Then he says this to his father. When his father says, come on, man, I really need you. But he answered his father, look, man, does that sound like honor? Does it sound like arrogance? It sound like I know better than you. Look, for so many years I've been serving you, and I've never neglected the command of yours, and yet you never gave me a young goat so that I might celebrate with my friends. Who is he concerned with? Me and my friends. Not his father, not his honor. So selfish slob is what this man is. Oh, sure, he may be playing the game. But man, the older brother, he hears a party, he's mad, angry. And it says this, but when the son of yours came who has devoured your wealth You're prostitutes. You slaughtered the fattened calf for him. And he said to him, son, you have always been with me, and all that is mine is yours. But we had to celebrate, to rejoice, because this brother of yours was dead and has begun to live, and was lost and has been found. What's the moral of this story? The Pharisee and the sinner are both immoral and bankrupt. The older one just didn't want to see it. And that's the story of the prodigal. What a crazy story. Jesus just smacked them across the holy face, so to speak, with this truth. Lord bless you. Have a great one. I can't wait to share more with you Tuesday in the new year, 2024. Have a happy new year.